Okay, so we have two things going on tonight. We have a special town meeting and followed by a regular select board meeting. So I'm going to open up the special town meeting to the clerk. Shelley, you want to start?
Okay, good evening, everybody. If you're a resident and you'd like to vote, please check in with Samantha over here if you haven't already done so. If you'd like to make a comment on one of the articles, please raise your hand or stand up so the moderator may call on you to speak. And we shall begin. To Michael Titus, a resident of Town of Newcastle in the County of Lincoln, State of Maine. In the name of the State of Maine, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the Town of Newcastle in said county and state qualified by law to vote in town affairs, to meet at the on Monday, the 10th day of August, AD 2026 at 7 p.m. in Article 2 through 6 be voted on in an open town meeting. Article 1, to elect a moderator by written ballot to preside at said meeting. Do I have any nominations?
I nominate Mr. Jim Cosgrove over there.
Second.
Do I have a second? Sorry. Do I have any other nominations? Okay, you're nominated. Get your votes. Thank you. Alright.
The suspense is killing me.
So we have 5 votes for Mr. Jim Cosgrove. So if you would, sir, your oath.
I, James Cosgrove, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of this state so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof. I, James Cosgrove, do swear that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities the duties incumbent on me as moderator of this special town meeting according to the Constitution and the law of the state of Maine, so help me God.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. It's all yours.
Now, tonight, if there is anyone from out of town who would like to speak, thinks they might like to speak before this meeting, could we have you raise your hand? Could we have a motion to allow someone from out of town to speak before the meeting? So,
Second.
second, all in favor? All right, that motion carries. I will read, as you've just seen, I will read the article. I will ask for a motion from the floor. Since most of these articles contain a dollar amount, when you make your motion, please include a dollar amount. We'll then ask for a second, and then we'll open the floor up to discussion. Following that, we'll vote. Article 2, shall the town transfer $190,000 from the severe storm reserve account to the fire truck reserve account to assist with the purchase of the pumper apparatus. This article transfers $190,000 of unused funds from the completed Lynch Road Bridge project into the fire truck reserve account. The transfer does not increase taxes. It helps reduce the remaining cost of purchasing the fire truck. A motion, please.
I'll move Article 2 at $190,000 as presented.
I have a second.
Second.
The moved and seconded. Discussion. Questions? Yes, sir.
What would be the remaining balance after the $190,000 transfer for the purchase of the pumper?
Cool.
So Article 2, 3, 4 is sort of a lot, and what the town is doing is we're moving, we're asking the town to move funds around so that we can purchase the pumper essentially without going to bond on it. So the result at the bottom line is about $60,000 to be raised by the town. But Article 2 is to take $190,000 from what was moved over a couple of years ago into a severe storm fund to basically fund the bridge work on Lynch Road. That project is complete now, and we have leftover funds. So $190,000 is simply coming out of that fund and being transferred to the fire truck fund.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Wanda Wilcox in Newcastle. My only concern is with the Lynch Road, wasn't we gonna get some FEMA money for that project? Are we sure we're gonna get that FEMA money?
So-
Before we take that money away?
I just heard something today.
What's that?
I just heard something today.
Okay, let me just answer quickly. Yes, we did. We had, and apparently Ben might have some news regarding that.
So, I just spoke to Kevin, the town manager today, and he had just gotten some news that we are in the final stage of approval for being fully, reimbursed, for that project. So it's coming. It's a very long, tedious process to get the money from
I
FEMA.
just didn't want us to take money away and then.
No, we're
Because
covered.
I know some of the
We're
FEMA
covered.
isn't coming through.
Yeah, he said there's hope that there's actually the approval is coming as early as next week.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Additional questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, please raise your card. Opposed? The ayes have it. Article 3, shall the town raise and appropriate for the fire truck reserve account $210,000? Explanation, this article raises and appropriates $210,000 for the fire truck reserve account to help complete funding for the new pumper apparatus. The amount reflects the remaining balance after applying the existing fire truck reserve and the proposed transfer of approximately $190,000 from the severe storm reserve account. Additional available revenues may be applied to further reduce the amount ultimately raised through taxation. Could I have a motion, please?
So move.
So moved to 210,000. Second?
Second.
Seconded. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor of Article 3? Opposed? Motion carries. Article 4, shall the town authorize the select board to use $150,000 of deferred revenue to reduce the total amount of taxes to be collected? This article authorizes the use of $150,000 in previously accumulated municipal revenue sharing funds to reduce the amount of property taxes that must be collected. These funds represent state revenue received in prior years above the amounts budgeted and are available for property tax relief. Using these funds reduces the amount that must be raised to purchase the new pumper apparatus. A motion, please.
Move $150,000.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote on Article 4. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Article 5, shall the town vote to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds and/or bond anticipation notes in the aggregate principal amount of up to $940,000 for the purpose of financing the municipal share engineering and road construction on Route 1B identified in the Newcastle Village Partnership Initiative pre-engineering study approved in April of 2025 with the dates, maturities, denominations, interest rates, and other details of such borrowing to be determined by the municipal offices, and to see if the town will vote to appropriate the proceeds of said bond or bond anticipation notes for the foregoing projects, plus an amount necessary to refund the interest payments on any bond anticipation notes issued for said purpose, and any cost of issuance of the bonds and/or bond anticipation notes. A motion, please.
I'll move for the $940,000.
Second.
Second.
Can you repeat that? No.
I couldn't hear it.
Do you have a?
I couldn't hear her say what she
Oh,
said.
oh, I said.
She motioned at the 940.
Okay, thank
Sorry.
you.
Discussion, yes, sir.
Can I amend this article?
You can make a motion to amend it. It would need to be seconded and then voted on.
I make a motion.
Louder, please.
I make a motion that we table this, for now, until we get that check from FEMA on our hot little hands. Trump administration has, made it known that, states that weren't on with his agenda weren't gonna be treated favorably in getting federal money. So, and just because this supposedly is a good opportunity for the village project initiative, doesn't mean that and doesn't mean that we have to take advantage of every opportunity that comes down the pipe. So I'd like to amend this to table this vote until such time as, because we're gonna vote and we're paying for Academy Hill, and if the Lynch Road doesn't come through, so I think we've got enough debt for now. So I'd like to.
So the proposal is to, your amendment is to table Article 5. Is there a second to that? That's been seconded. Discussion on the amendment.
Is it,
Merle?
a comment, I've seen information that Susan Collins has been able to get a several $1 million grant for a construction project here in Newcastle. Is this part of that? Could this be part of that project?
Sure.
So, this article is essentially a conceptual funding to use at some point in the future to match grant state and federal funds. The federal earmark is about 7.5 million. And then the state funds that would be kicked in as well. Our contribution is $940,000. So there is a time essence on this. What's going on is Senator Collins has appropriated this money at the for a federal earmark, and so they want to see this. They want the town to basically see if the town would support in concept matching the federal and the state grants, because if the town doesn't support this work, they're not going to appropriate the funds at the federal level. So what we're doing is we're not voting on a claim. There's been pre-engineering work. We're not voting on some kind of design tonight. All we're doing is saying the town in general supports by the sum of $940,000 to work with the federal and DOT funding to move this forward at some point in the future for engineering and further assessment and review by the town. So there will be a process moving forward where the town still gets a chance to weigh in on this.
Thank you.
David?
Mr. Moderator, just wanted a point of order to remind you that a motion to table is not debatable.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion to table that is not debatable. It has been seconded. We will now vote on the motion to table, not Article 5, voting on the motion to table. All in favor of tabling the Article 5? Opposed? The amendment fails. We're now back to Article 5. Further discussion. In the back, please.
If we commit to this, do we spend the money first before we get the federal money?
So the answer is no. So what has to happen still is this has to go, all we're saying is the town supports this work. Nobody's being spent, we're not taking out a bond yet. But at some point in the future, as the DOT is here tonight, I believe, they can speak to the process. We'd have to allow him, DOT speak. But when the DOT moves forward with engineering process and everything is designed and approved by the town by concept and plan, then the town would move forward with securing bonding funding. This could happen at some point in the future. I'm not going to say timeline.
But isn't the town spending money to do the initial stuff before?
We did that. We spent that. It was appropriated. We had $150,000. The town spent appropriated $75,000 out of the 150, and the state chipped in 75.
Okay, so that's already been done.
It's already been paid for.
Thank you.
Here in the front.
Oh, Nigel Colbert. We live next to the church, so we're right in the middle of this whole redesign area. Just a little background. Back in the 1990s and the early 2000s, sorry, Back in the 1990s and early 2000s, I was on the public input committee into the Wiscasset bypass discussion. And something I discovered through 10 years of discussion was that if there's a plan on the table and the main DOT has already become somewhat invested in it, it's really hard to change that. And this is a pretty awful plan, to be quite honest. And unless there's some assurance that there's going to be a mechanism that this can be opened up for discussion, and that the people that put this plan together and the DOT that was involved with it are not that invested in it, that it really will be a genuine discussion. I'm very much opposed to what we have on the table. I would rather see what we've got right now than to see this plan implemented. It's got all kinds of flaws from a safety perspective, from the point of the local community that will be impacted along that stretch of the road. So basically, but I'd like some assurance from the select board or whoever is going to determine this process that there will be a genuine discussion, and because you already had discussions around this plan, you know, and that this plan is not the baseline discussion for what will be once, if we get the money, then we can go back and take a look at all of this and we can reconfigure it, because everybody on that stretch of the road is opposed to this plan. Because for safety reasons, for parking reasons, for sightline reasons, because there's missing curb cuts on this plan, it's a really poor piece of work. So that's what I'd like to say.
Ben, would you like to address it?
Sure. So the DOT hasn't bought into this plan. As a matter of fact, they didn't cook this up. This was done by, what was the name of the firm?
Wright Pierce and
Wright Pierce and
T.Y. Lin.
T.Y. Lin did these as pre-engineering conceptual plans. The DOT hasn't accepted them. The DOT hasn't done any engineering on this. So from the, correct me if I'm wrong, Ian from the DOT, but they won't have any buy-in until the money lands. And so Tor is absolutely correct the way he described it. We as a community have a lot of opportunity to impact the final design, because this is not the final design. DOT has to set the final design because it is a state road through town, you know, the named route. Otherwise, if it was ours, we could just do it. We could do it ourselves. But that's why we're partnering with DOT. So once the money is approved, the work will begin in earnest, and there'll be a series, like there were when we did these pre-engineering conceptual drawings. There'll be a series of public meetings and outreach to get people involved to come and help and input. And yes, absolutely, that will all happen.
Can I come back on that? Because presumably the amount of money that we're talking about is based to some extent on this plan that we have in front of us. Otherwise, where did they come up with that number? So that's what concerns me, is to what extent, because the money is based on what we have on this piece of paper, are we locked in at this point? And I need some, for me to vote for this, I need some really assurance that we are not in any sense locked in on what is on this piece of paper that Peter Sattler came with.
We are not locked in.
Mr. Lee, Newcastle, the only 2 cents I have to remind everybody is a year ago when we looked at this, the DOT stood here and said, it will not affect traffic either better or worse if you spend this money. They stood here in this room, and I don't know how many of you remember, but I do. They stood here and said to me, and I had them repeat it 3 times. And I'm not saying upgrades aren't good, but for him to sit there after I asked him the question, he said it absolutely will not impact traffic flow at all. It won't make it better and it will not make it worse. And they did study it for maybe a year or 2. Just want to keep that in for when the time comes, when we do get to vote on this, whether it passes or doesn't, you got to remember that spending this money that we will have to pay back at some point. Not gonna make the flow of traffic any better or any worse. They said they were gonna put a stop sign leaving town. I don't see that helping.
You'll be next.
I just want to say, they did say that in addressing the backup of traffic, it definitely impacts the speed of traffic coming through, and it impacts the confusion of the intersections. So as far as not backing traffic up more, that was what that comment was for.
Well, he actually said that it would be worse at that intersection. He said after studying it, he said after the 2 years that they studied it, it was less, there actually was less accidents have happened in the last 2 years since they started studying it.
Good lady in the third row.
Taylor, Newcastle. I was curious, Karen just mentioned the speed factor. You said the traffic flow. Is that the same as the speed? Because right now people are just coming in and out of town so fast. Are you saying that DOT said it would affect the speed at which people were traveling, or just, oh, I'm confused.
One of the primary objectives of this is to slow down traffic. And these concepts look at that problem and try to address it. The DOT is going to take that forward and try to address it in their own way.
But he said, that's what he said, it wouldn't change it.
As far as the numbers that are stopped at the intersections, we foresaw those numbers. If there were 3 cars that they saw doing a traffic study that got backed up for a certain period of time, those they were looking at, they didn't see those numbers going up or going down. There's a lot of other limiting factors, especially seeing as going across the bridge into Damascata, that affects our traffic and so.
But it would slow traffic.
The incoming traffic.
The incoming traffic and exiting traffic would have to go slower because they would have to stop at a stop sign and the road would get narrowed.
Except they said that the traffic's backed all the way up to Route 1 in the summer.
Well, that's
Going
because of,
slower.
it can't be slower because of Damascata Main Street. I mean, the Main Street is full. And there's no intersection that would change that. But it would slow the time of day and time of year that Main Street isn't full. Instead of people doing 45 miles an hour around that corner, they're gonna have to come to a complete stop and turn. So it would slow traffic, it would calm traffic before it gets all the way into town. So that would be the improvement.
Wanda?
So I think my biggest concern is that I've lived in Newcastle pretty much all my life. I live in a very beautiful part of Newcastle. I'm in Newcastle. My little valley is my little piece of heaven. And I'd love to think that I could live here for the rest of my life. But I'm going to tell you right now, if we keep passing, I mean, at the town meeting, we increased our taxes, we increased the cost of everything this year. I haven't got my tax bill yet, but I'll guarantee you it's not going to be any less than last year. It's most likely going to be more. We just passed a whole bunch of money already that we're spending. This is another $1,000. And what's next? I mean, it's just, there's no end to it. I want to live in Newcastle for as long as I can. But I kind of feel like we are taxing the average person out of Newcastle by passing everything that comes down the pipe. And I'm just really concerned. I'm really concerned that we are not going to be able, for the average Joe who wants to live in Newcastle, especially as we get older and we retire and our incomes become less. We're not all blessed to, have an unlimited amount of income. And I'm just really concerned. I'm really concerned. And so, for a lot of reasons, I'm against this mostly because I can't see us just spending more every time a new wonderful opportunity. It might be a wonderful opportunity, but can we afford it? Can the taxpayers afford it?
Jim, can I just?
Please.
So I just want to give you a little perspective on the debt the town is carrying. According to the state, town of Newcastle is carrying a very small percentage of what the state would allow as far as our debt service and debt. We have about $1 million. We took out $1 million bond to do Academy Hill. I think that closed in 2020. So that will be resolved in about 3 years. We also have a small loan on a fire apparatus of $5,000. So essentially, in about 3 years, the town will be debt free. You voted in Articles 2, 3, 4, raised our taxes $60,000 to pay for that apparatus. We have not taken out a bond to do that project or to buy that apparatus. So look at it this way, about the time that this project comes to fruition, our debt will be relieved on Academy Hill, then we may step into another $940,000 bond at that time.
To her point, why don't you not step into it and lower the taxes for people? And you know, I worry too that as I get older, I'm not going to be able to pay my tax. Right now, my taxes are higher than my father's, who lives in South Bristol on waterfront and has more acreage. And I live not anywhere near any waterfront.
Please raise your hand and wait to be recognized before we speak. Yes.
I want to make sure that we don't lose sight of one of the biggest factors in doing this redesign of Main Street would be to attract business. If we don't get more of a tax base, then inflation is going to cause our taxes to go up every year. Unless we want to start cutting all of our services, taxes have to go up if we don't increase the tax base. If we can increase the tax base by having more attractive downtown for businesses, then that's going to prevent our taxes from going up at the same rate of inflation. So that's one thing that we need to keep in mind. We have no parking downtown. This would allow us to have parking for a business that wants to come in. So unless we can figure out a good way to attract more development, we're gonna see increasing taxes. And South Bristol doesn't count because they have a huge bond.
But they don't spend it.
Right. We had a question back here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Dimitri. I live on Lewis Road. I agree with lady who just spoke sitting behind me. We need to think about people in town. What state allowing us to keep our spending balance? The state is not going to pay back. When time will come, this people have to chip in. So this proposal attracting business with business. In Damerscotter's business changing doors, address every year, open, close, open, close. Where's the business? I think we need to think about people, think about how people feel, and in this room, a lot of people have questions about efficacy of this project.
Ben?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base real quick about taxes. Because maybe not everyone's aware of how taxes are put together. So really quickly, there's what builds the full budget is what the municipal costs. That's the costs that we all control. There are two we don't control directly here. The first is the county tax. We're just handed a bill and we have to pay it. The second one is the schools. We all do have the opportunity to go and vote on the school budget that is open. Unfortunately, very, very few people go. So this year, just to push back a little bit on the idea that taxes just keep going up and up and up, while that may be true, the municipal side of the budget, the 1/3 of the budget we actually do have 100% control over, went up 0.2%. So we sit here and we're not deaf. Like, we are doing everything we possibly can to address the issue of increased taxes while still providing the services that we all want, the safety we all want. And we go through lengthy budget negotiations to get there. So yes, there will be an increase in your taxes this year. It is not because of us at all. I just want to make that like abundantly clear. We are not sitting here going, let's raise everybody's taxes. We actively try to not raise taxes while still getting stuff done. This is a golden opportunity. I just want to say this because no one else has said it yet. If this project comes to fruition, and this vote tonight is step one, we're on step 3 of many steps that need to happen. But it represents, if the funding goes through, our contribution would be 10%. The state and the Fed would cover 90% of the cost if it happened. Those kind of opportunities do not come along very often. In the time that I've been on the board, we've had exactly one other opportunity like that. We were not able to capitalize on it because we didn't have a project that we were considering doing, and we lost the opportunity. So that's not a reason to vote for it. If you have concerns, great, that's awesome. I just want to make it clear that this is a good opportunity. It is only 10% of the total cost of the project. And just understand that that's, sort of where we're working here.
Athena, we'll go to you, then you, then you.
Karen spoke of businesses, how this can help with trying to attract businesses. We live right off of Glidden Street, and we can hear the traffic, the roaring and screeching of traffic as people wind up on that road and come down. That hurts property values. So while it's important that we can pay our taxes, it's also important to maintain property values, and trying to slow the traffic down, I think, is extremely important. And also, it makes it far more pleasant. Instead of hearing this horrible traffic sound, you could actually hear birds and things like that. So I think this could be very good, especially if we can have the time to, if it ever happens, to discuss it and have something that everyone's happy with. But I think this could be very good.
Lady in the orange.
I was at a previous meeting when they were discussing all of this, and it was very interesting to me that one of the remarks, and I wish I knew the exact figures, but this plan is more than slowing down the traffic, as I was told, and it's developing our downtown, 2 blocks maybe, but still developing it. And what really struck me was statistics about the tax base that 2 blocks in Damariscotta brings in. Whether I don't remember the figures, but boy, was I floored by the difference. And that changing our 2-block section is going to be a long process, but I think it's a very positive one. And the traffic flow, the parking, the codes, everything, it's very complicated. And in the long run, I think it would be a positive thing. Because the goal is not only slowing traffic, but creating more of a tax base.
Thank you. Gentleman in the back.
My name is Steve Harvey. I reside at 48 Main Street. Often you may see me sitting in the Adirondack chair in front of the White House across from the church. I am intimately familiar with the traffic and the concerns of people entering and leaving in Newcastle. I think it's laudable, the goals of this project. But as the professional engineer with especially in traffic, and reviewing plans that Nigel has shown us, I have great concerns about many of the design elements that are shown on the proposed plan. And while every project needs a starting point, my concern is this: the town is vested in this plan at least to the amount of $75,000. Understand you need conceptual to get anywhere, and financials have been based on this conceptual. But in its current form, I couldn't support it design standpoint. And I don't know, Nigel, if you have shared this with the decision makers, but this one piece of paper highlights those very legitimate concerns. Now, having said all that, I heard at least one member say today that we aren't married to this plan. And so I would ask a broader question at the conclusion of my statement to find out exactly where the decision makers are in terms of the community's ability of concerned and impacted individuals whose property will be impacted, the receptiveness to our concerns. Having said that, I think if I'm sounding a little forceful in this, I think the reason why has already been demonstrated. There have been at least a couple of different interpretations of what was said verbally by DOT members in terms of the impact on traffic through Newcastle. And the problem is things that are said in a meeting get misconstrued, misinterpreted, or changed going forward. So in order for me to support this, and I would like to support it, I need an absolute assurance that this does not represent or has so much bias support in it that it will be the final draft. And the community at large, and especially those property owners who are impacted, will have a chance to input it from an engineering basis. It's a very legitimate safety concerns and deficiencies in the existing plan. Thank you.
I'm gonna go to one of the selectmen to answer him, and then I'll come back to you.
You sound like you want to be on a committee. I would welcome that. So just to be clear, for everybody that's here, I don't think any of us feel like we are the sole decision makers, nor do any of us fully endorse any of these conceptual plans. I have big problems with all of them. Same as you. So I want to be part of the conversation going forward. And I think if you want to be part of the conversation, I've heard from some other people who have some experience, maybe want to be part of the conversation. We haven't talked about it because we don't know what the next step's going to be. This vote is literally like, do we want to do it? Then how are we going to do it? Forming a committee is absolutely on the table. And we're probably going to need a committee to talk to, have citizens who are going to be directly involved to work with DOT on the final plan. Absolutely. No one's getting cut out.
Opportunities are available, people. Looks good on a resume. Lady in the back lawn.
Well, I was just gonna talk to Katie Newcastle, right up there in the road. I was just gonna talk to the idea of the noise, and there is a lot of noise, especially on Monday morning coming to town. And they're downshifting, and we live a mile down the river, and it is shocking how loud it is coming off the river. And I mean, I'm sure it travels all the way from either side, but it's summer in Maine, and it is an issue, and I don't know if it's these, if it's trucks, or if it's downshifting, or, but the noise is, I'm not impacted like you are right there, but I mean, I feel like something has to happen in terms of the traffic and the noise. It's just gonna continue to get big for everybody, and it is shocking how the sound travels.
Hang on, Phil, go to you in the back there.
Yes. Thank you, Stephen. As the state or the federal government that's providing most of the funding for this project, what type of assurances have they given that the committee that potentially might get developed and the plan that they come up with is the one that they'll pick, and not what they want to do?
None. Okay. None yet, because the money has not actually been approved at the federal level. So we're really still at like preliminary stages. Just like these are conceptual plans. This is the vote tonight is, do you support working on our downtown? That's really what it is. You could throw those away, because what's going to happen afterwards, if the money comes through and it's approved, then we have to develop a process for working with DOT. So, no.
I just feel like, that's a lot of money to spend without an assurance of the locals being able to make a decision on the design.
So we're not spending them.
Yeah.
We're not spending the money yet. It's just a concept to say the town would support this. So you gotta remember, Senator Collins' office, they don't know what the financial stability is of the town of Newcastle. They don't know if we're laden with debt. We can't even afford to put gas in the fire trucks. So they're saying, does the town of Newcastle have enough money and wherewithal to put up at least 10% of this? And that would give us, you know, in Susan Collins' office, to put that on the table. You gotta remember too, Susan Collins is up for re-election, right? So they want to put this, she wants to put this on the FY27 appropriations budget. This is not even a given getting through federal government. This is just a concept to say, town of Newcastle can afford this at some point in the future. And by the way, you know, let's see if it passes. So
we could say no to this, even if we vote for it tonight.
well, if you say no to this, there's not a chance in hell this is ever coming back. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, is that not true?
If we could correct, if I could correct something here, but we're not voting on appropriating a sum of money. You're voting to authorize the selectmen to consider issuing a bond.
Yep.
You're not voting on a.
Could it be changed later on?
But what?
If we say yes tonight, could it be changed later on?
Could what be changed?
What changed?
Well, if there's no assurance, and we find out that if the feds approve it, and we find out that our plans may not be considered in stone, then we've approved it already tonight, and then, so by then it's too late.
No, sorry. The bond would only, sorry, could I?
Yes, please.
Okay. The money, the bond that if we vote on this tonight and we approve it, that would only be exercised if the federal money is approved, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes time to do it, it would pass through DOT, right? For the state funding portion as well. And then at some point after the process begins, then we would bond the money. So we're not raising any money now. As a matter of fact, it could be years before a bond is actually taken for this, if all the approvals happen. Well, it might need another vote if it goes beyond 2 years. So an approval by state law. Yeah. We don't know. We don't know. But like Tor said, in order to keep pushing up the ladder and show our support, they asked us to show support.
So if there's not another vote, this money goes through.
No.
We still don't have, no?
It wouldn't go through. If the money doesn't come.
Well, if it's approved, like you said, it goes, you know, the feds approve it. the
Yeah.
state approves it.
There is a scenario where that would happen. So if the Fed approves it and the project takes 2 years or more before we need to kick in our money, we'd have to come back for another approval.
But if it doesn't,
But if it doesn't, no.
but, and then this vote tonight would take care of that, and we don't have an assurance that we can use our plan that we want to come up with.
There is no design plan.
Design.
Yeah.
But that
There's
gets
a
voted on?
chance that
What's that?
Plan gets voted on?
Oh, the design plan gets voted on, yes.
Like who?
All of us.
Nigel, Phil's gonna be, Nigel, no, please, Phil is next.
Oh,
Phil,
this is a related question, I think perhaps the board can continue to clarify. So, if this does go forward, we get the funding, we develop a process to finalize the design, working with DOT. At what point would the town have the opportunity to vote on the final design? I think, Ben, you said that would be a scenario, right? The town would vote on the final design.
We're not going to sit here and vote on a final design for everybody.
Right.
I can almost guarantee that.
No, that's not where
We're going to put together something. We're going to have public hearings. Eventually, whatever design comes up with, we're going to bring that to the town for a vote. I cannot see a scenario where that won't happen.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And just to back up real quick, if I may. Just to, Casey, to answer your question, give you a little bit more assurance.
Yeah.
as far as I know, this does not commit us to absolutely spending the money. Even if the money is approved and it goes through and we don't like the design, we don't have to spend the money. This just gives us the opportunity to spend the money.
All right, we're gonna go to Nigel and then we'll come to you, sir.
So just to try and nail this down a bit more, let's say we vote the 960,000.
The bond.
We get the bond, we get the money, it goes through DOT. So there's 8, 9, 10 million in the kitty to do the project. If the DOT decides to spend that money in a certain way that we don't like as a town, do we have a veto over the project that we can say, no, we know you've got the money in the kitty, we're not going to let you spend it in that fashion? In other words, do we have the final decision on how this money gets spent? Or do we end up with a big pot of money that DOT controls and they ultimately have the final decision on how the money is spent?
Let me reread the first sentence of the article. So the town vote to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds and/or bond anticipation notes in the aggregate principal amount of $940,000. So general obligation. That's not. There's a lot of gray area in that term right there.
It means we are, sorry. We are not obligated to spend the money. We can pull the plug. And if we don't kick in our 10%, the project doesn't happen. It just doesn't. So yeah, we have leverage, but the plan is to work with DOT because they're tired of proposing projects that everyone hates and goes and ties themselves to bulldozers about. They don't want to do that anymore. So this is a way of working with the DOT to do projects that they know that the town already approves. That's the VPI process that we've been working on.
I'm gonna go to you here, sir.
So I think obviously people, when you put a plan out, people focus on that plan. And I think it's very clear that the town doesn't support the work product from the consultants. And I think it's clear, first question is to clarify, this is authorizing the select board to issue a bond. It's not authorizing the select board to spend the funds from that bond. Is that accurate?
They are the same thing.
They are the same thing.
They are the same thing.
Okay. But the select board has making a commitment that the town will vote on the plan before those funds are expended.
Yeah.
I
can't imagine the five of us making the final.
We can't imagine us making that final decision. That's
not
for us to make.
Can I don't mean to put DOT on the spot here, but may I recognize the gentleman that's from DOT? Would you mind answering the question about process?
Could we have a vote to allow the gentleman, he's made a motion, do we have a second? Vote to allow the gentleman from DOT to speak. Assuming you're not a Newcastle resident.
Assuming you want to speak, but thank you if you can.
I am not a Newcastle resident.
Well, you are authorized to speak.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ian Barecki. I'm from the Maine DOT Bureau of Planning.
Ian, you can just stand right there and talk loud.
My name is Ian Barecki. I'm from the Maine DOT Bureau of Planning. So just a bit of background on this, just to clarify. So this is a village partner. This started as a village partnership initiative, which is one of our, essentially, a few years ago, we created a pot of money for communities that were interested in doing, relooking at some of their poor transportation systems, especially in downtowns throughout the state, to approach us if they wanted to carry out a planning study to kind of address community concerns regarding it. That was the genesis of this. So just for one thing to say, this was never something that DOT came to the town of Newcastle and said, we're doing this study right here. This was initiated, and it was at Newcastle as the plenary, we provided financial support and then some like planning and engineering support, but at a very limited level. But that, just to set the stage for it, this is not something DOT is attempting. I think it's fair to say, I don't believe, on told me, that we are attempting to just ram through. It was asked of us to come and look at this, and that's why we're trying to go about this. And I definitely hear the concerns that folks have about it, but I do want to lay it out as a groundwork. In terms of process going forward, you know, there is the possibility of the federal, CDS funding, that if that were to be awarded and all of and state match and local match were in there, the next steps would be going into, an initial design phase. Now, what we would likely do is start with something say this was the study that was done, but we are not tied to this specific study this was a pre-engineering conceptual level study. There are certainly things that aren't going to work in this. There are things that even our staff have said that probably shouldn't be that way. But this is really, they would start with that, but it would not be something that we'd be tied to. And the nature of that funding offers us a fair amount of leeway in what we would ultimately develop. The next steps would be, in order to begin that, if all of the funding were there and allotted, we would start with preliminary engineering and we'd approach the town saying we want to likely put together a cooperative agreement with the town of Newcastle for your share that would go only to a certain phase, probably to what we call PDR, preliminary design report, which would be an initial design that was more based on engineering and less of a conceptual level thing. There would be multiple phases throughout the design process that would enable additional community inputs. If you folks already know that you have a lot of concerns and you want, right off the bat to engage with us and have some significant deviations from it, I'd say that if you do decide to move forward with this project, which is your decision, ultimately, I would say get a start on that, and we can right off the bat already begin, if we're lucky enough to actually get the funding awarded for this and locked in at the federal level, and we can right off the bat begin to be making some changes. Now, the thing I would note is that the biggest qualifier in that would be the available funding. If you folks were to come and create a committee and redo and want to do a bunch of this stuff, and it were to cost twice as much as what we are presuming in the budget, then I can very definitively say that probably won't fly. Because there's not going to be additional federal money available, and that would ultimately then fall to us and the state and the municipality to make the difference. And that's a very challenging conversation for everybody involved, including me. I have to explain to my boss. At that stage, though, throughout preliminary engineering, we come up with what would actually be the design that would, in theory, eventually go forward into construction. There are multiple opportunities for public engagement and involvement, not just through the committee, but there are formal processes for formal public meetings, presentations of it, including virtual presentations where it's all included, but we're also capable of working with the municipality if it is particularly sensitive or there are particular concerns about it to have additional outreach. I don't want to shoehorn my engineering colleagues in 3 years to whatever I say today, but that's my understanding of what the process would be. If you folks were ultimately to decide to, we were to get to engineering and then you were to decide, absolutely not, we're not okay with this, we're not going to move forward. I don't believe that we would likely enter into an agreement for the entire sum of the project, and especially if that's not something you feel comfortable with. That would put us in a very challenging position to have this money and we can no longer put it towards this. As this is like I said, a village partnership initiative, it's a locally sponsored effort. If you folks tell us that whatever final or preliminary design were to go forward with this was just an absolute no-go, it does not work for you. And I think the biggest thing that you would have would be to refuse to provide a share for additional work. I doubt that we would move forward with the project as designed. Now, that's not ultimately my authority to say. I'm just a cog in the machine, but these projects under our policies have a requirement for a local cost share because it's not necessarily something that this has a lot of elements that are not necessarily core to the state highway system. It's a locally led effort. We require the 10% share for these type of projects. If you folks at a certain phase, as long as you hadn't already signed a full cooperative agreement through the end of construction, in which case we would prefer that your agreement with us. There would be opportunities, I think, for that engagement. We would obviously like to, though, especially if we're awarded federal discretionary funding for this, try to put it to good use with its core intention, which is improving this section of your town. But ultimately, like I said, this is not something that the DOT intends to ram through. It's not something that we're going out of our way to foist upon you. This was asked of us, and we're trying to do what we can on that front. Does that answer most of the questions? It's ultimately your guys' choice.
Thank you. And I think now to summarize, you are not voting tonight on the design for this project. You are voting to authorize the selectmen to possibly float a bond to show interest in doing a project. It's unfortunate, perhaps, that some of these things got put up tonight. Merle? Well, please, let's not get into any more conversation about this project, which is.
I just have a question about the highway. Is that not a federal road? That's a federal highway. Why isn't the federal government paying for the whole thing?
That's probably gonna be a question for another day. And these aren't questions about the project, right? These are questions about bond?
Yes.
Okay.
Where did you get the $940,000 figure from? If we have to support 10% of the project, this is going to be potentially almost a $10 million project?
Yeah.
Can we say less? Can we do $1 million project? I mean, is that, say all we want to do is we have a stop sign and hot top it so it looks better or something. I think that might be part of Wanda's concern and mine too. I would support a $100,000 bond in 3 years, but I don't think I can safely do a $940,000 bond in 3 years. You're talking $10 million for this little intersection up here. And I know there's a lot of engineering and there's all kinds of parts and pieces and water and electricity and everything, but that's, something we need to be concerned about.
This lady back here.
I wanted to make 2 comments in support of the project, if that's okay.
Okay, but let's focus on the bond, people. Let's not focus on this project. Joe? I thought I saw your hand.
Yeah,
I just wanted,
on the bond.
Yes.
on the bond, I just wanted to comment about the $1 million or, the $1 million expenditure. I hate to say that doesn't buy much. I mean, our capital roads improvement budget is nearly $1 million a year. And all that does is shim and ditch and clear some trees. So, unfortunately, $10 million, I hate to say, is probably, in terms of highway rebuilds, and it's probably not a lot of money, I hate to say. But keep in mind, we're talking about 10% of that. So to answer your question, in the first part, the concept was estimated by the engineer in-house as to what it might cost to do it. So it's a conceptual budget to do this type of project, and then they just backed out 10% of that, and it was $9.5 million is the open budget.
But this would be an amount not to exceed.
Okay, that was my question.
All right, the article has been moved and seconded. We're gonna vote on that article now. I'm sorry, I'm cutting off. We're gonna vote on this article now. All in favor? I might ask you to come. Opposed?
But we can count.
Let's count.
Let's count.
Okay.
Please, if you're opposed, leave your hand. Sorry.
14
In favor? Motion passes. Article 6, shall the town approve the fish ladder and related facilities interlocal agreement with the town of Noblesboro? The article authorizes the town to enter into an interlocal agreement with the town of Noblesboro regarding the fish ladder and related facilities. The agreement establishes the responsibilities of each municipality for the operation, maintenance, and management of the shared infrastructure. Approval allows the town to continue working cooperatively to maintain this important regional resource. A motion, please. Move. Second. Discussion. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say about this one that the towns of Noblesboro and Newcastle have been sharing responsibility and cost of the fish ladder for years without a formal agreement, almost 250 years to be exact. This just formalizes it. It's actually very simple. And we all just thought it was time after 250 years to write it down. That's really what it is.
Yes, sir.
Are there any permanent changes being made to the agreement between you guys?
No.
It's just formalized.
Yeah.
All in favor of Article 6? Opposed? The article passes. Please have a motion to adjourn this special town meeting. Second. All in favor? Thank you very much.
You did a great job, sir.
Good luck.
All right, everybody, hello, hold on, one moment before you're all leave. If anybody is actually interested in wants to participate on video, don't know what that might look like, no, any details. If we don't have your information, please write it on this card as you expect. And we'll put you on the list so that you'll get emails. You're on the. Here you go.
Should I put
Awesome. Thank you. I hope to hear from you.
Wow.
Me too. We should swap stories. I know.
Oh, yes. I knew you were.
Yeah.
Yes, well.
Do a good job.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for coming. Thank
Are you really? Do you know I get Newcastle's of the world? It's doing it right. So there is actually Newcastle's. You know, all over. They're all over.
It should be.
No chickens, not bad. You know, probably won't end up like that. And they give you more.
Yeah.
Instead of like procuring something, you know, don't want that.
Excuse me.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
He's got it in his work belt. Little nail.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you gotta put a small. The shovel wall.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, so calling to order the August 10th select board meeting at 8:11. And, any amendments to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, July 27th.
I will move that we approve the minutes from the previous meeting as presented, as best Shelley could do with no audio.
I'll second that.
Okay, great.
I think you got it pretty good, Shelley, even with not giving.
And thank you all for your help.
She's good at reading the lips. All right, any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Oh, I was just looking for my green thing.
Yeah, I know. Okay, that passes unanimously. So, any comments not on the agenda? All right. Moving on to presentations. Theo is going to present what he's been working on. So Theo, the floor is yours.
Sweet, thank you so much. I'm just gonna share my screen here so I can pull up my slideshow.
Maybe the TV needs
Oh, squared away to the audience.
to move over so that,
What do you mean?
but
This way?
go, yeah, so.
Here we go.
Let's see if we can get more of the
Here's the layout.
Wait, I think that's actually, oh yeah, no. Yeah, maybe
At the top under view options. Oh, no, that's your screen. All right.
it's all good. This is a Oh, wait, maybe it's this. Yeah, yeah, nice.
Go the other way.
It's just, it's really laggy, so whatever I click. Okay, sweet. Good, alright. I'm Theo Rusin. I've had the privilege of meeting a lot of the select board, but if you don't know who I am, I'm the intern working for Newcastle and Damascotta this summer through the Margaret Chase Smith Summer Government Internship Program. And I've been working with Kevin, the Newcastle town manager, and also Andy, the Damascotta town manager, to develop this asset mapping project where I've kind of collected and mapped a database of certain road infrastructure assets to better inform asset management and maintenance and capital improvement and that kind of thing. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to present to you guys. Just a little quick agenda for the presentation. First, I'm going to just talk about the background of the project, why Kevin and Andy asked me to do this, and what some of the potential uses and goals of it were. Then I'm going to talk about the methodology, the software that I used to create this map and collect the data, and kind of like what my workflow looked like. And then I'm going to talk about some of the findings and analysis of where these pieces of infrastructure are, their condition, and what that means. And then I'm going to finally go into the actual GIS software and show you guys some of the features that this map has that the towns will now have access to. And then if we have time at the end, I can talk more about other aspects of this internship because there have been a lot of, beyond just this project, opportunities that I've had that have been really amazing. So just some background, as you probably know, drainage is really essential to pavement and healthy roads. Culverts, a super critical asset to drainage systems, need regular maintenance and sometimes repairs to function properly. And to do that, you need to know where the culverts are on your roads, and also obviously which ones need to be fixed. So previously, Newcastle and Damascotta had no record of where or how many municipal culverts or storm drains or fire hydrants there were in the road systems, let alone data that I collected like condition, measurements, material type of these assets. So that was kind of the main objective of this project. And before we wouldn't know where a culvert was until an area started flooding, or worse, went like a road needs to be repaired 20 years earlier than otherwise would have been. So this mapping project will help correct kind of this inefficiency, hopefully, by basically showing us where we have opportunities to invest these smaller payments now. So hopefully our roads can last as long as they should be lasting, and we can get our money's worth of our tax dollars. So yeah, the drainage system is kind of the big thing. I did all the culverts and all of the storm drains, but Kevin and Andy also asked me to update the fire hydrant layer, because the one we previously had on our public website didn't even have half as many fire hydrants as I found. So, and then also guardrails. I created line features for those.
Are we looking down into a culvert that
Yes, this is a failed culvert on South Dartmouth Road. Just, I thought it was an interesting example.
Did you paint it?
I didn't know. It's already, some upstanding citizen did that to warn drivers, which is good. But yeah, that's a weirdly failed culvert. That was the only one I found like that. Where,
The top one off.
yeah, exactly. But there were other municipal failed culverts. So going to the methodology, first, the software I used QGIS, which if you don't know GIS, it's like mapping software, but this is an open source version of it that was just created by coders and software developers for free, which is amazing. So it didn't cost the town anything, and now I've downloaded all of this and set it up on the town computers, which is really cool. And I've kind of written out the instructions of how to future interns or just anyone can use this and update it in the future. So yeah, it was 3 pieces of software that I used. They're all for free. As for the condition metrics behind my condition rating system for culverts, I referenced the Joint Transportation Research Program in the state of Indiana. It's something that Andy sent me. It was just that state happened to be the most contemporary account of the best way to inspect and rate the condition of culverts. So everything I did was based off of that. I looked at factors like the embankment of the culvert, its flow line, how it's flowing, and also the structure of the end sections, like the pipe itself. So these were all factors when thinking about how functional a culvert is. And they also outlined a 1 through 5 rating system, from failed to needs to be repaired or replaced, to poor, needs maintenance, to fair, good, excellent. So that was the rating system that I used. I also had notes attached to these in the map on features like guardrails, which is a less sophisticated rating system, but I did have in writing small descriptions of other facets as well. And the workflow, I was just kind of, yeah, that's a picture of my car. I was just driving to a new municipal road every day and just walking down looking for culverts. So yeah, well, it was actually pretty nice weather, but I might have not got every single culvert because I was just looking with my eyes, but I'm pretty sure I did a pretty good job of finding it.
How many deer fly and Gina fights did you get?
Oh man, a lot. But
And the poison ivy.
yeah, no, that I think I was safe from. But, yeah, I got lucky, I guess.
It was
But
that
yeah,
stylish vest that you were wearing.
exactly. Yeah, Kevin equipped me with some great equipment and safety gear, so grateful to him for that. So here's a bigger mock-up of the map to talk about some of the results. I found 81 municipal culverts in Newcastle, and you can see in this pie chart here the distribution of condition. The red is failed all the way up to the bright green, which is excellent, and it's the same color coding that I used on this map here, where you can see in the legend the culverts are color coded by their condition. And yeah, so you can see kind of the numbers there. And in Damariscotta, I found 63 municipal culverts. So less culverts, but pretty similar distribution of condition actually. I also was looking at private culverts, so not owned by town. I found 89 in Newcastle and 70 in Damariscotta, and those were also rated by condition, but in the map I'll show you later on, you can filter those out. So you can only look at private culverts or only look at municipal culverts.
So the private culverts, those are people's driveways where they enter the
Exactly.
road, go across the ditch.
Yeah. So yeah, I only looked at those when they were on municipal roads, because they do affect the drainage system still. Some other numbers of other assets here I have. I found 61 catch basins on municipal roads in Newcastle and 78 catch basins in Damascotta, which I thought was interesting because obviously Newcastle has far greater road mileage. And those, as you can see in the zoomed in version, are more concentrated. The purple point features here around the downtown areas. And
That's so cool.
yeah, it's pretty sweet. So yeah, all of these kind of failed culverts here represent opportunities for us to invest in and get more money out of our roads, where obviously these could potentially be leading to the premature death of our pavement. But yeah, so the other two features I have here, I found 7 sets of guardrails on municipal roads in Newcastle and 4 sets of guardrails in Damascotta and 85 fire hydrants across the 2 towns, where the current GIS layer on the website only had 52. So I believe that was rendered from the Google Earth layer, because Google Earth AI now has layers that are, I think, rendered from their Street Viewer data and maybe some other data they have. But just to prove my worth against the Google Earth, they definitely couldn't see any of the culverts with their cameras, but even with the fire hydrants, I added to that. So
Wait, before you go on, I just want to say, not that it's a competition,
yeah,
but we're rocking 70% excellent or good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna add up the neighboring villages percentage, but it's less.
It's true. You guys are looking good there.
Not a competition.
Yeah. No way. If anything, it's a collaboration,
Absolutely, that's what I was going for. Thank you for clarifying that.
So the next thing I'm gonna do is just quickly go into QGIS on my laptop. This is also all exported into Google Drive and also on a computer in Newcastle, but I'm just gonna demonstrate some of the features that Kevin and Andy will actually be able to use here. As you can see, you can toggle between any of these different features. If we just wanted to look at the catch basins, or we just wanted to look at the fire hydrants. And we can also toggle between the condition of culverts. So here I can just show you guys the failed and poor culverts. This is also showing private culverts. So don't fret about this, because we can also filter out the private culverts to only show culverts in Newcastle. This. So these are the locations of the failed and poor culverts in Newcastle, and we can zoom in as far as we want here. Another feature of this map is we can select any of these points. That's not a good example of this field, but you can see all of the attributes that I attach to every point. So we have the diameter, the length, the type of coal, the material type, some notes on here that I added to this one, and the date that I inspected it, as well as just some directional orienting, so it's easier to find this culvert if someone was to go and try to give it a better inspection and fix it up.
Did you, sorry to stop you.
Yeah.
Did you run a statistic on failed or poor culverts, plastic versus galvanized?
I did not, but
you could.
I could, and I did look at the, numbers between how many were plastic and how many were metal, and the majority were plastic. I think there was only a few, just in general.
Oh, just in general.
There just weren't that many metal culverts, municipal, metal culverts. But Andy did tell me a lot about the, just like engineering differences between them. Yeah, it's interesting, but mostly the culverts in Newcastle were plastic. But I could also, just for demonstration, show you here. So this is the attribute table of the culverts. You could use any of these attributes to create a filter for the layer. So if we wanted it, you could see all the culverts on the left side of the road, which would, like in the direction I was walking, which you wouldn't need to do that, but just to give you a sense of the type of data that we have. So oops. So we could look at culvert type and then do metal. So, wait a second. Yeah, I guess it looks like some of these, these are also private culverts though. So, yeah. If I turn all the layers on, you can see there are fewer metal culverts, but they also look not as good. So yeah, could be something to that. Anyway, so yeah, you can put a lot of filters on these. Also, you can see the guardrails have their own set of attributes and sometimes notes attached to them. I think this one might have. Or no, maybe I was thinking of a different one. But also how it's the jurisdiction. You can see the condition I wrote failed for this one, because if you've ever seen the Old County Road guardrail, it's just like, yeah, it looks like it was built maybe in like the 19th century or something. Like, it's just very, it's not made of metal. It's like just made of ropes and stuff. But anyway, so there's information about the guardrails, not based on any kind of scholarship, but just something else I've gotten in here. So yeah, I've also created instructions for how this would be updated. So the Indiana Department of Transportation says culverts, to get the most money out of your roads, you're supposed to inspect them like this every 4 to 5 years. So if in 4 years someone wanted to update the condition, they could do that with this map, knowing where to look for the culverts. And if they find other culverts, they can add them as well pretty seamlessly with the same free software that I used. So it'll be an interesting database to have forward. Let's see if there's anything else that I wrote down that I wanted to say.
I think rather than doing it 4 or 5 years, a work plan annually.
Yeah.
Update
it
based on the ones we addressed.
Yeah. While that road is being repaired, or afterwards.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't have to go back and say, oh, that looks good.
Right. Love it.
Well, and use this to, prioritize our workload,
Yeah, true power of it. Yeah.
And banana.
Yes.
The crew.
Sorry to Jim for not being, he wasn't there that day, but I was gonna say just like big appreciation for all my coworkers, including Jim, even though he didn't make the photo. But yeah, but it was amazing internship experience. I was very supported by everyone in the Newcastle office, and also Andy and Dan Riscotta. And it was great for me because I got to develop my skills with this software and also be outside and also learn way more about municipal government. It was really just like a perfect opportunity for me. So I'm very grateful for it. And yeah.
In your spaghetti sauce heating and dishwashing abilities are.
That means a lot.
No, you jumped right in. That was excellent too.
Yeah.
Dan, you have a question?
Yeah.
Congratulations first. Excellent job, no question. And the choice of QGIS was very, very good because the dominant GIS that you're gonna encounter out in the world is not cheap. And QGIS is, in many respects, close second across the board in its capabilities. So, good move there. Quick question about what do you think you should show up here in the future about catchment areas and elevation differences within those for your culverts?
What was the first thing you said before elevation differences?
The catchment areas.
What do you mean, like where the catch basins are, or
what's feeding into the receiving end of your culvert?
Right. Okay.
So if it's like blocked up or, you know.
Well, no,
What's the water
thinking
source?
more about heavy rigging events and.
You're talking about slopes and flows and. Yeah.
Well, what you do to protect it from
That's right, yeah,
some events.
Probably soil erosion in the entry.
But to be able to figure out what happens when you have major rain events of a kind we historically have not had. And that, you know, culverts are expensive, I guess. And so if you come back, then maybe as a planner or something, we send you out and get you digitize the catchment areas and assign threats.
We'll have Kevin chase down a LiDAR grant.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, would you like some now?
Yes. Yes, always.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to come back and work on it if the demand's there, you know. So.
But excellent work.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, QGIS is like, it's like one of those things that just like makes you really have a lot of hope for humanity and stuff that people just took their time out of their day to make that for no money.
Needs to be said though, needs to be said.
It's not a sprang from grass, at least psychologically. And it's just taken off and just a huge amount of volunteer labor across the planet that goes into keeping the momentum of product development going.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Who has access to this data?
So that's fully up to Kevin and Andy. Initially, I thought that it might be going on, like they were going to put all of this onto the new version of the Newcastle website, because I think the current one is like outdated or something.
It's going away, right, Sam?
It's going
Yeah. So I think that still might happen, but that's fully up to them. They could. I've packaged all the shape files for them so that they could put it onto a website like that. For now,
Like the tax maps.
So these are layers we could integrate into ArcGIS.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So
and
That'd be cool.
Laura from the Lincoln County Planning Commission, who's also super integral to me, like getting set up with this. Sounds like she knows a lot about how that would work, but all the files that I've created are in Google Drive that is shared with Kevin and Andy. So in that way, right now, it's just Kevin and Andy that have all of this, all of the files, but also I put it onto a Newcastle computer at the planning desk. So it's all also, even when I leave, it's all uploaded onto that computer, but also in the Google Drive. So yeah. Yeah, any other questions?
Just well done, Theo.
Great job. Thank you.
Very useful information for us to have. Yeah. Which didn't exist.
It exists.
Was that your parent?
Yes.
Introduced.
Yeah.
I should take the whole lot.
No, just two.
Well, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
I hope you feel better.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Sam, can you let me know what the overall attendance was?
Theo, you did great.
Thank you guys so much
proud
for
of
staying to watch.
Compare the attendance. I gotta write an email to,
She didn't either.
tomorrow morning to.
Susan Collins.
Did you count them all?
Yeah.
I'll be able to do it, and I'm gonna email them minutes. I'll get the to you tomorrow. Make her, link you for the shovel and do the minutes tomorrow.
I've got an hour drive back.
Go for it.
But
Go for it.
thank you all so much
Thank
for the
you.
opportunity.
Thank you, Theo. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
I'm Irish.
All right, this one's quick. How come this heat pump does not keep it cool in here?
Yeah.
I know I cranked it down locally, but it's, it never changes the temperature.
But did you actually?
It's current heat.
The air exchange, I think when the AC's running, the vast majority of the actual conditioned air is also getting exchanged also. It's one of the-
Because it sounds like a lot of
Should.
In the exchanges.
Jim, we're gonna run through the pumpkin fest.
Yeah, we just had Pumpkin Fest, it's a quick thing, and then. No, I had Okay.
Okay.
Let's just do the next one without Tor, quick. It's just the pumpkin festival.
He's running a meeting. We can't do that.
Sure we can. Everybody in favor? I would have thought without having much rain, they wouldn't do, but at least in my house, it's terrible.
I mean, we've had more rain.
Okay, moving on to 7A, Pumpkin Fest new business, and looking to authorize the sheriff's office to close Main Street.
Yes, and I talked to Seth, and he said he would help us. They just want to close Palm Street up to that first house because they're going to have the gathering of the racers there. And Seth said that he would take care of kind of blocking off that part of the road for the car.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Then I'll make a motion to authorize the sheriff's office to close Main Street temporarily and to authorize the closing of Plum Street up to 7 Plum Street temporarily on Monday, October 12th for the Toward Gourd event.
Okay, any discussion further on that?
I'm amazed you got that out in one breath.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I'm motivated.
That was great.
All right, thank you, Karen, thank you, Rufus, all those in favor. Great, motion passes. And Item 7B, tax commitment.
We're gonna stand if you don't want.
Please.
So, based on the outcome of the aforementioned town meeting, I prepared what you got from me last week, the week before. Last week, overlay something around 13,000. That is where we're at.
We're talking about
Exhibit 1,
exhibit 1 or 2?
One.
1, sorry.
The overlay here is 15,000.
Yeah, 15,000.
So,
15, yeah.
at the end of the day, there's always changes right after the last minute. So the overlay landed at 13,476.63. It's a little bit below, well, it's about half what our average is for the last 5 years. Not a big deal, it's just information. The lowest was 12,900 in the last 5 years. The highest was 38,000. The purpose of the overlay is to round off the mill rate, so we're not trying to get 1 pennies out of taxpayers. That's really the function of it. The 13,000 in, I'll give you a quick option on a higher mill rate. That lapses the fund balance and be used to lower taxes in the future year or to fund something. It's a rounding off function of anything else. So mill rate currently is 14.2. Proposed mill rate with all the work that's been done is 14.5 with a 13,467 overlay. Just to give you an option, a 14.60 mill rate gives you an overlay of 62,990. That would be the highest mill rate in the last 7 years, just to give you an idea of where it stands. Like I said, whatever that overlay is, it lasts the fund balance. There's no money, there's no obligation to it other than it just goes to fund balance. I'm not recommending the 14.6 mill rate. Financials are pretty decent. You run a good ship, not like it was 15 years ago. That's
So
okay.
30 cents increase over current, you're suggesting 14.5.
Yes, sir. Yeah, $11 million of value increase. A lot of that had to do with solar arrays on Route 1. One of those is business exempt tax exempt. For this year, it'll be, so that's a 50% reimbursement from the state that needed somewhere else on your form. So the math goes into this general. The rest of it is a lot of new construction out there.
So after that elapses, it'll hit the tax?
No, it'll go to solar exemption, and that won't show up on the tax rate calculation form at all. So the solar arrays out there, which I chased in pretty wholeheartedly, they are assessed. I also hand a solar array, solar equipment exemption. So it doesn't show up on their tax bill. The state reimburses us for half the tax loss. And that just goes to fund balance. I don't have that number. Last one.
That's how it works.
Oh, I don't have it. I PDF all that stuff. Usually it doesn't matter. It's a waste of paper. So whatever that number is fairly substantial. That number is relative to Houston and this town. I've taken solar valuations and put them in personal property. I can track and show depreciation because it's a state reimbursement. They are wanting to see depreciation, regardless if it's really small or not. If we put it in real estate, it's almost impossible to go and figure that out. So I put it in a different place. I anticipated the state's going to want better numbers about 3 years ago. So I anticipated that. So that's where we're at. We're setting up, I have set up a separate coding for ADUs, because I also think those are going to be tracked down the road, and if we're not careful, they get undervalued. So appropriate value as dwelling units, not as outbuildings on another property. That's going to back along to much better. And I'm already starting to track this. Other than that, Theo was great. We had great talks about, he had to listen to me ramble on about Aristotle, because it's my research.
Nice.
I'm obsessed with these things. So proposing a 14.5 mill rate. Motion would be in order to do that. And whatever you go with tonight, which,
I have this.
we're going to meet at 7:15 tomorrow morning.
Get it done. Or
Make a motion to accept the recommendation of Assessor Agent Murphy to sign the 2026-27 tax amendment with a mill rate of $14.50 per thousand of taxable valuation.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Karen. And any other discussion? Slightly off topic. What's the plan with revamp?
So we're up for next year.
Yep.
Yes. So we're putting an insert into the tax bills, alerting everybody that 2027 is a 3-year update. Right now, we're certifying 100% valuation. We're actually at 92. We're going to be at 83 or 4 come next January 1st. So we're going to be in front of that reduction of state reimbursements and increase of people taxes. The certified ratio goes down, the mill rate goes up, and the exemption goes down, and people pay more in taxes. So we're maximizing those numbers. I've seen other towns that have done revaluations after 25 years, first time in 25 years, and it is a disaster. It is extremely hard on taxpayers. It's extremely hard on assessors to do it, and we're staying away from that. We're going to stay current. I'm recommending we stay current, and continuously sift and filter the data that's out there, and really respond to taxpayer inquiries on a regular basis, and that's working well. All those little things that make a difference are making a difference. Very, very.
Awesome.
I'm sold on it.
I wish more people understood the value of doing small incremental revals instead of.
It's painful.
Yeah, it's really painful.
One of the towns we did a reval in last year, oceanfront values tripled.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were at 30% South Shore, and that was at, so they tripled, more than tripled. Very, very shocking.
Everybody's tripled. The mill rate goes down, and nobody really is.
Yeah, but what's
the difference, but it doesn't. It never does.
Right.
So the mix was wrong.
Yeah.
You just have to. You're not going to say it, so I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
What that meant for those people on the shoreline that were paying 30% and their rate tripled was that the other people in town, the other properties, were subsidizing the rich people. Okay?
For however many years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the people who can't afford it were paying a greater share of the taxes than the people who could afford it.
Right. So it's discriminatory assessing if you have one class of property being burdened by an undervaluation of another class of property. That's the revaluation you adjust everybody's value goes up is that north of Route 1, north of the Falls, it's kind of a different kind of market than Route 1 and River Road.
Yeah.
And so if River Road's at 100% and they're at 200%, they're pulling more of the load. The law court says just value. Those classes of properties need to be in balance. And when you wait 20 years, there's no balance.
Well, in this market, the past, 7 years, you don't have balance after a year and a half.
Yeah, what's that?
6 months sometimes.
It's I don't want to go too quick and I don't want to wait too long. It's a little bit of a.
Well, there's a danger in
art.
both.
There's an art.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to make this take longer.
All right, thanks for that, Jim. So Ben moved, Karen seconded for $14.50 per thousand. Let's vote. All those in favor? Great.
I'll start the signatures on one end.
Thank you.
So not this one, right?
It's the same.
Okay. Just
I know
check.
how to do this.
Just check.
Just aggressive. So there's 4 places, 4 lines to sign on 3 pieces of paper.
Oh, we go.
See you, Bill. So it's interesting to hear the discussion about roads while you're signing, because I'm not leaving until it's all signed. If you're
you're aware, if you read the newspapers, you heard that a Union firefighter was nearly struck by a vehicle a couple of weeks ago. That was me.
That was you?
What?
That was me that was nearly struck.
Wait, remind me, it was, you were on a motorcycle?
No,
Oh.
no, I was getting ready to set up a safety area. I'm on Union Fire.
Oh, okay.
So I was getting ready to set up a safety area, and I told the driver to get back in his own lane. He did not, and he came by me at 30 miles an hour, close enough where he knocked equipment out of my ear.
Oh, wow.
So
Jesus.
the problem isn't roads, the problem are drivers.
Yeah.
And that's here, and even today, I listened to a car horn because somebody was impatient with somebody who wasn't familiar with the big curve to go out. And so, the problem is 4 signatures.
Yes, I'm trying to find, where's the tax? Yep, where's the, tax rating? Oh, there we go, it's right at the top. There's so much here, I didn't know what to sign.
So 23 years of firefighting, that's the closest I've ever been hit. And it was at speed and really.
Did they snag him?
Oh, yeah, he's been arrested.
Good.
Not for that, but for doing a pursuit from Union all the way to Watt.
Wow.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah, I was just a little bit of that story. So I'm very aware of traffic control and all those other sort of things. But it's important, people need to slow down, they need to pay attention, they need to hold.
Yes.
Yeah. They don't.
No, they don't.
So be defensive. And I was in Sears One. On that issue.
Oh, right.
Personally, know some of the people that we do.
Oh, so sorry.
It's been an interesting summer.
Yeah, not the good.
Bring him back.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
See you tomorrow, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
You well. Great work as always.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, fiscal year Q1, FY27 for $698,132.02.
So moved.
Second. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Rufus. Any comments, discussion?
No, it's just a big one because we've got the school bill and the bridge, Lynch Road,
Yeah.
Lynch Road Bridge. That is, do we know if that's our final?
No, I think you have at least one more.
One more bill? Okay. And then we'll pay for the whole thing, and now we need to get a
Now we just
reimbursement.
Exactly, money back.
All right, great. Any other thing? All those in favor? Okay, motion passes 5 members, and, well, I don't have no town manager report. Do you have anything to say? You don't have to.
You don't have to.
No, I'm just wondering.
No.
Well,
Go ahead.
should we just say Kevin is recovering?
Yes.
Well,
Report on the town manager.
yeah.
Report on, he's doing well. We were able to FaceTime with him today. And so we're happy to report that he's doing better. He's recovering, but he does need to get his rest.
Awesome.
So we are encouraging that.
I actually saw him last Friday.
Did you?
And he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
His parents said that he's behaving himself, which I find hard to believe.
I do too.
There must be something wrong.
Maybe they weren't really keeping an eye on him.
He sneaks out.
He sneaks out, but he wanted to talk shop, like. But he's doing pretty good.
Good.
Other than that, things are running pretty smoothly, we hope. But we miss Kevin, we can't wait to have him back as well.
Right. Awesome. So, just a couple of executive session things for poverty abatement. So, motion to move into executive session under Title I, Section 4056F, and Title 36, Section 841 2E, poverty abatement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Yeah.
Now that's, okay.
Hold on a second while we stop.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. Any business after?